Welcome back to r/Neighbors from Hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, "You Cannot Park Across My Driveway." This was a few years ago. I live in a suburban neighborhood near a major metropolitan city. It was winter and we had just had a light dusting of snow, just under half an inch. My dogs barked, which they frequently do, alerting me to strangers outside. When I finally got around to looking outside, I see this Infiniti, shine and clean despite the light snow on the ground, parked on the street blocking the end of my driveway in its entirety. I was shocked because there were no other cars parked on the street within a couple houses either direction. The frontage to our house is typical of the neighborhood at about 70 feet. The inconsiderate act of parking across someone's driveway gets me fuming, but I wait. 30 minutes later, the car is still there. I decide to go to the only neighbor I could reasonably conceive would have guests that would park there, knock and have a brief conversation with them. Nope, no guests. Well damn. With nearly a half inch of snow on the ground, I decided to go ahead and shovel the driveway. This would make it more visibly apparent that the offenders parked in front of someone's driveway, but I don't just put the snow to the side. Nope. I piled every bit of snow right on top of their car, with the majority piled on the windshield. I made sure to clear the sidewalk too. I'm not heartless, so I did pick some debris, like twigs, out of the snow before dropping it on their car. By the time I finished shoveling, I was feeling pretty accomplished, but where were they? It had been over an hour since I noticed their car, and they were still nowhere to be seen. Getting more frustrated, I decided to call the sleaziest towing company in the city, known for lying in waiting to tow cars for the most minor of infractions. Unfortunately, the local news expose a couple years prior must have been effective because they declined to tow because it was on the public street and said that the police would have to request it. I couldn't exactly call the police because I had just piled a bunch of snow on the car. What I was left with was waiting for their turn, over 2 hours, which I captured on video, quite poorly, and I have since misplaced it. When two college-aged youth returned to their car, the male was wearing a Yale sweatshirt. The shock on their faces was almost worth it. They got in and the windshield wipers removed a lot of the snow from the hood, but the male got back out and started brushing snow off. I decided to walk outside and confront them. Me, "Are you serious?" Him, "I'm sorry, I didn't see." Me, "Really?" I gesture to the house. I point to the garage. I gesture driveway. "I apologize." Yeah, whatever. Not the wittiest of exchanges, but I'm pretty sure I made my point. Maybe not the wittiest of exchanges, guys, but still a welcome petty revenge if you ask me. Let's hope that this young neighbor learned their lesson. The next one is titled, "Kindly Stop Littering." A little background: we live on a little part of a hill. There is a tall retaining wall on the east edge of the property. There were evergreens there when we bought our place. We planted some more plus ivy as ground cover. It is great except for one thing. It is a pain to clean because of the density of the plants. About a block away from us there is also an office campus. Several tall buildings. Some people working there walk to work and they take a shortcut through our neighborhood. They have to walk by my property as the sidewalk is only on our side of the street. And for whatever reason, some of them believe that it is acceptable to dispose of their soda cans, cigarette butts and boxes, food containers and such by reaching to the top of the wall and stashing it under the evergreens on our property. There are no trash bins for public use since it is a residential area. I get that, but nobody's arms would fall off if they carry this stuff with them until they reach their work. I, on the other hand, have to drag a ladder out to the sidewalk to remove it. Anyway, one day we went to a liquidation sale for a local business, and despite protests of my SO, I acquired an outdoor trash can, one that looks like it is made of stone with a plastic liner inside and a little metal roof over the opening, placed it on the edge of the property, and it worked well. I even got a thank you from the neighbors and passerby for doing it. But a few a-holes still thought it is far better and more appropriate to just throw their trash into the bushes 20, maybe 25 feet away. I get laughed and teased at home about it, so it is war. We have this old Halloween decoration that has a motion detector, just a bloody face that talks when motion sensor is triggered. What's nice about it too, you can record custom phrases to scare people. So I record a sentence that says, "Please don't do that, you just passed by a trash can," and place the decoration on a trunk of one of the evergreens. It works on some people and probably a few raccoons, but not everyone. Trash still shows up in the bushes. At this point I just suspect my SO is just messing with me and I give him the benefit of the doubt. I talk to my neighbor across the street and they let me look through their surveillance footage and I finally know who the culprits are. There is a rather tall guy disposing of his energy drink can so he can go tap comfortably on his phone for the rest of the walk to his office. And a young woman who actually has to jump 2 to 3 times to throw the bag full of wrappers from her food on top of the retaining wall. It happens fairly regularly, same days of the week, same times of the day. So on my day off I go meet both of them separately as they pass by. I ask to stop littering in my yard and point out the trash can we provided for their convenience. The guy tries to brush me off, but thanks to the surveillance video, I know he works in a law firm. When he walks away, I ask if I should consult the partners in his firm. What do they think of his behavior? Grown-up version of the "I'll tell your mother." Not the most original I know, but it works. Next day there is a box of trash can bags with a decorative bow on it and a card with apologies from him on top of my mailbox. Yay! The woman though just tells me to F off. Oh really? I consider following her to work, but I have more important things to accomplish that day and decide against it. But on the weekend, I go back to my neighbors from across the street with some baked goodies and a gift card for their favorite pizza place and get some stills of the woman printed out. Plus, she also starts just throwing trash in our yard openly, which gets caught by our surveillance. So I gather both the trash and more information, and I gain an ally in another neighbor who walks her dog around the neighborhood and has seen the woman around. After a day or two of snooping, neighbor number 2 has a good idea which building my bane works in. So on another of my days off, I go to the building she works in, make sure I'll be there first. I read too many detective novels, I know. I hang around the lobby and see her getting in an elevator by herself. I check the roster and there are only 2 companies on the floor she went to. I take the next elevator and get out on the same floor. I am in luck. The entrances are all glass so you can see both front desks from the hallway. And guess who sits behind one of them? Elevator did not leave yet, so I step back in and go back home where I Google the company, they are architects, and find the name of the boss. I block my number, call and ask if he is in. He is and can see me right away, so I make an appointment stating vaguely it is about my property. I put the bags of trash from my yard she is responsible for in some shopping bags, collect the valence stills, clearly showing her throwing the stuff around, and go to my meeting. When I walk in, I am all smiles. I inform her I have an appointment. Her eyes are big like saucers. The boss steps out, says hello, and ushers me into the office. When asked what he can do for me, I apologize for involving him and tell him the whole story, show him the stills, point to the 2 shopping bags full of her trash. He apologizes in return and assures me it will be handled. On my way out, I leave the bags with her, telling her that the content belongs to her. Although I am still no wiser as to why the woman was such a Karen towards us, there's no more trash under our evergreens. And guys, if you have watched until here and enjoy the stories about crazy neighbors, I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and maybe post some star emojis in the comments. That would help my channel tremendously. Thank you so much in advance. The next one is titled, "Get mad at me for someone else's behavior? Fine, I will not hit your car every time I park, and no shoveling either." A tale of ongoing petty revenge. Some months ago, I pulled into my neighborhood after a long day at work to find a vehicle parked in the middle of the road right at the beginning of a blind curve. Windows rolled down, chatting away with a friend on the sidewalk, completely oblivious to the multitude of parking spaces just around the curve and not caring at all that she is blocking the road. With cars parked parallel on both sides of the street, there's no way I can pass. A quick beep makes no difference. The sidewalk friend steps into the road and begins hanging on the offender's open window, continuing the conversation. Another slightly longer beep, and the friend rudely gestures for me to drive around. My hands go up in a "what the hell?" move as friend gestures again. I shake my head. No, I cannot see around the curve to know for certain if there is no oncoming traffic and there is not enough room to safely pass. The conversation continues. Traffic has begun to line up behind my car, 3 to 4 vehicles deep. After a minute or two of waiting with continued what the F hand gestures, a few more quick beeps and lots of head shaking, I finally decide to lay on the horn until they move. It works. The offender finally pulls forward around the curve and parks in one of the open spaces, while the friend glares as I pass by. So I get home, park my car, and I am happy to be home, thinking the incident is over and all is well. Until I hear yelling. Apparently, the neighbor across the street was one of the cars lined up behind me and was pissed that I was honking/insisting that they relocate their conversation to a more appropriate location. The neighbor is screaming that I am rude and inconsiderate. I was not the one illegally parked blocking the road, and yelling that I should have just gone around, blind curve, cannot see oncoming traffic, not enough room, and even goes so far as to say that my partner and I should just move out of their neighborhood. Every year since we moved in, there has been at least one nasty snowstorm, and every time I have cleared out not only our 2 parking spaces, but also that particular neighbor's 2 parking spaces, along with all of the spaces in front of our house and directly across the street. Additionally, I have shoveled out spaces on the sidewalk so people don't have to climb across large mounds of snow and ice to get on/off the sidewalk, and so the garbage/recycling guys can do pickups. As an extra special bonus, I have also cleared 50 to 75 feet of the street in front of our house, by myself mind you, to help the plow drivers get through, since one of the other neighbors recently moved out, thank goodness, decided to pile the snow/ice from his parking spots right in the street instead of on the huge grassy common areas like everyone else, thus creating a huge mountain which prevented the plows from clearing our street, which has made our street the last to be plowed every time. But yeah, I'm the one who is inconsiderate. Okay, if you insist. Now that snow and ice season is starting up again, it is time to start backing into my parking space so it is easier to get out after a storm. The funny thing is, in order to do that, I think I need to swing over a bit so I am lined up properly. Gotta make sure I'm perfectly within the lines. I mean, really, what kind of a hypocrite would I be if I honk at other people's bad parking, but my own vehicle is not perfect? Her parking space just happens to be directly across from mine, and she always parks towards one end of her space, leaving a large area for me to swing into so I can line my car up and back into my space. It warms my cold black heart to see her looking out her door every day, watching in horror as I pull up near her car and ever so carefully back into my space. And here guys, you have a little Reddit style drawing that shows how the situation looks like. And this season I will be sitting in my lovely warm house after every storm, watching through the windows as she struggles to dig her car out of the snow, stumbling over mounds of snow and across the slippery, soggy, unplowed street. And the next one is titled, "So you let your dog go wild with our garbage?" So this is happening right now, and it's been like 2 weeks now, but let us go back in time about a month. Where I live, the trash must be put outside in the street every night because the garbage truck picks it up at 5 to 6 a.m. We don't have large buckets like other countries, we just take out the bags to the street right next to our door and the truck just collects it. Every house takes their own bags out, basically you take it outside every night and in the morning it's gone. About a month ago, one neighbor got a new dog, and by the same time the garbage bags started to appear, all broken with the trash in the street, a mess in every door, and at first we thought it was a person that was breaking it, but thanks to some security cameras we filmed the dog actually going wild every night, breaking all the trash bags and making a big mess. Of course, the garbage truck won't collect this because it is their work to collect the bags but not to clean the mess, meaning that if we wanted our garbage to be collected, we need to clean, rebag it, etc. And as you may imagine, collecting trash is not very pleasant. At first I didn't want any conflict, so I just took my trash out before the truck came in the morning, which was a pain in the butt because I needed to wake up earlier and couldn't fall asleep again, but the smell of the trash and the flies that started to get inside the house were a big no-no. One day I saw the dog owner, he works in really weird hours so I don't see him very often, and asked him to do something about the dog escaping his house and doing all this mess. His answer was, "I believe in my dog's freedom. If he wants to go out, then so be it. If it is a problem to you, then wake up earlier." Of course, this got on my nerves, so I walked away. Planning my revenge, I think about calling animal control, but I decided not to do it because I know that the dog was going to be badly treated. It also crossed my mind to use some laxant in the organic garbage so the dog would crap all over the owner's house, but once again, that could hurt the dog and was not his fault. And suddenly it just hit me. I began to collect all my garbage for about a week, but not in the normal way, aka a big bag with everything in it. Instead, I used lots of tiny bags with bathroom trash, kitchen trash, workshop trash, etc. And when I had a crapload of garbage, it was the moment of my revenge. In every bag, about 20 market bags, I put inside them a tiny piece of ham or chicken or meatball, and I waited for my neighbor to arrive home around 11 p.m, waited a bit longer, and using my ninja skills, I took out every single garbage bag and put it outside in front of his door. About 20 minutes later I could hear dogs barking, and when I checked the cameras, his dog was out and started the party, breaking every single bag to eat the piece of ham / chicken / meat I put inside them. I watched it and went to bed with a big smile on my face. Next morning when I was going out to work, I saw my neighbor shoveling all the mess inside a big bag with this mad face looking at me. I just smiled and waved. Now, since that day, all my trash and also the other neighbor's trash are put outside his house. If his dog makes a mess, then he needs to clean it. And believe me, he has cleaned a lot of trash these days because his dog still escapes every night, and hopefully that will teach him some responsibility. And guys, with this we have reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you cannot get enough of my content, then I would suggest to check out my endless playlist, which will hopefully soon show up in the left corner of the screen. And in addition, it would also be nice if you could check out my Patreon at patreon.com/ripeyoutube for more than 50 exclusive Reddit videos as well as early access to my daily videos. Furthermore, please also visit r/ripestories on Reddit if you have any stories to share of your own. I would be more than happy to read them in a video.